everyone! So first I thought I would show you what progress I've made on my knitting. Right now it really just looks like a curtain, but I really do hope it turns out and looks like a hat in the end. Today's video is going to be a little different from my other ones because I'm not going to be doing a review. I'm just going to be discussing my thoughts on these books. So let's get started. The books that I'm talking about today are the first three books in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. Before I get started, I'd like to ask that nobody leave any spoilers about the later Mistborn books because I've only read the first three and I really don't want the later ones spoiled for me. I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I don't like Mistborn as much as I like the Stormlight Archives. Not to say that Mistborn isn't a really great fantasy, I just don't like them as much as the Stormlight Archives. So, my thoughts on the first Mistborn book. The first thing I want to say about it is that I really loved the idea of allomancy. It's one of the most original magic ideas I've ever read in any books. I think that's one of Brandon Sanderson's great strengths in all of his novels, is how original and unique his magic is. I also thought the most memorable scenes in the first Mistborn book would have to be Kelsier's first fight with the Haze Killers in the very beginning of the book, and Kelsier's last battle with the Inquisitor right before he dies. I really loved Kelsier as a character and was really disappointed when he died at the end of this book, though I understood the necessity of it. My thoughts on Second Mistborn, The Well of Ascension. As I already said, I really liked Kelsier. He was probably my favorite character in the first Mistborn book, so I was a little bit worried when I started this one about who was going to fill the void he had left, because I didn't think any of the other characters would live up to it. I also worried about the group's leadership because they were left without their leader and the person who'd always planned all their events. I knew Vin, though she's a great warrior and a really good character, doesn't have the leadership qualities that they needed, so I was really surprised, but pleasantly surprised, when Ellen stepped up and became a really good leader in this book. One of my favorite parts in this book was Or-Sur/Tin-Soon. It was one of the most surprising bits in this entire book. I really did not expect it or see it coming, and I really enjoyed Tin-Soon's character. One of the things I absolutely hated about this book, though, was how Vin was tricked by Zane. To me, it was just so obvious that he was playing her, and I couldn't understand why she couldn't figure it out. I was really surprised at the ending of this book, too. I knew there was something really odd going on about the Well of Ascension and the Hero of Ages, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I'm usually pretty good at figuring out what's going on in a book, so I was happy with that. And my thoughts on the Hero of Ages. I always thought through all three of the books that Spook was the most underused character out of all of them. I thought he had the potential to be a really good character, and was really confused about why he was mostly ignored in the entire series, until this third book, when he became a really important character. I remember one scene in The Well of Ascension where the entire crew was called together, and Spook was the only one left out of that meeting. So I am pleased that he became a really important character in this book. I was also happy to see him grow up a bit and become his own man, I suppose. I also liked in this book how it branched out into a lot of the other characters instead of just focusing on Vin and Ellen the entire time. I also liked that Ellen became a Mistborn at the end of The Well of Ascension. I think it fit him really well. I loved all the twists in this book, especially the ending. Like I said before, I'm usually pretty decent at figuring out what's going on in a book and knowing what's going to happen before it happens, but in this one I was completely surprised throughout the entire book. I knew that the mist had something to do with allomantic abilities, and I knew that there had to be 16 different metals that could be used in allomancy, but I didn't know quite how that fit in with everything else until it was revealed in the book. One of the things I was kind of a bit disappointed about was that both Vin and Ellen died in the end, though I'm not sure if maybe in the later books in this series somehow they end up coming back, but it was a bit disappointing for me. I also have a few unanswered questions, which I hope in the later books Brandon Sanderson might explain. The most important one to me, though, is twice in the book, Spook heard Kelsier's voice speaking to him. Once right before he ran into the burning building to open the dams to flood the canals. The second time when he was laying in a coma, he heard Kelsier's voice telling him to write the letter explaining about the hemorrhagic spikes. And I just wondered, was that really Kelsier's voice, or is it just Spook's own imagination? One of the other questions I had was, where did Kelsier learn about Malatium? He never told anyone, and I always kind of wondered what that was about. I also hope maybe in the next book that Spook will be a protagonist. I really liked his character, and I'd really like to see what happens with him as a new Mistborn. I also wondered what happened to the Khandra in the end. Since ruin and preservation no longer exist as two separate entities, does that mean that they could use their hemorrhagic spikes again and come back? I kind of wondered about that. My one last thing was about the number 16 was really, really important in these books. I don't know if it was just coincidence between Kelsier and the Lord Ruler and Allomancy, or if it really does have some deeper meaning. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up, comment with any suggestions you might have for me, and subscribe if you want to see more. You can also follow me on Twitter, and I'll put the link down below. Bye!